Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be building the XY215 frame from Banggood. It turns out to be a clone of a Mocha brand. I forgot which one, what was it called. Anyways, that's not the point. Now, what I want to do is I'm actually going to try something different this time with my build videos, which is I'm going to try to cut down the time as much as possible for you, and at the same time you see everything I'm doing. And if you guys do like this way, please let me know, and hopefully it'll turn out great. So let's begin by talking about the components I'm going to be using. The first component obviously is the frame. It's going to be the XY215 millimeter. It's a true X, and it's a 5-inch quad. PDB, I'm going to be using the Matek mini power hub. I like this because it uses like a step down converter thingy for the voltage instead of a linear voltage regulator, which means less of a chance to get a VTX blackout and brownout. So that's going to be for PDB. Flight controller, I'm going to be using the SP Racing F3. It's the Acro version, not the deluxe. It does not come with the barometer and the magnometer, so I'm going to be using these. I love these. These are very good. I've never had a problem with one. Motors, I'm going to use the Diatone D-Silver. So these are the 2300 kV. They're 2205. So hopefully these will do us good on this frame. Let's see how these are going to just look absolutely just beautiful on this frame. So I'm very excited to try these on this frame. For ESCs, we're going to be using the Racerstar 35 amp MS series. These are very good. I like them. Even though lately I've been noticing a lot of noise, so I just ordered an oscilloscope to test this out and see how much noise they're generating and if motors have effect and what capacitors and where to place the capacitors. So I'll be doing a whole debugging kind of thing on noise and all that stuff very soon. So anyways, for the ESCs 35 amp Racerstar MS series, I'm going to be using on this build. VTX, I'm going to be using the Eachine 526, I think. Yeah, Eachine TX526. It's a selectable 25, 200, and 600 milliwatt. It's very good. I really love it, and it's very cheap. So I do recommend these. Let's get started. I've already placed the PDB in, as you can see. I'm trying just to check it out, see which orientation I want to set this. So we have here a static 12 volt and a static 5 volt, and here we have a selectable 12 volt or VCC, which is the raw power from the battery for VTX or whatever you want to do here. And here for camera, oh, by the way, the VTX and the camera, you have filtering in here, an LC filter in here for the camera, so you could use it if you would like. For the cam side, you got 12, 5, and VCC to select the output for this positive and negative right here. And here we have just the pads for the ESC and the battery, and it's just, yeah, it's the same here on both sides. It's just VCC, just direct power coming in from the battery. So let's take a look at it. Now this is going to be a bit tricky because I've never done something like this, and probably many of you, maybe just a small amount of people probably has done this. So just looking at it, now if I put the ESC here, then I'll have to either bring the wire in like this, but I don't think that's smart. What I think I will do is put the motor, run the wire of the motor down, have the ESC on the bottom, and then have the ESC go down to its place right there. So that, yeah, I think that's gonna work out best for us here. Now let me just take another look at the board here. So we get one ESC, two ESC, and then here we're gonna have another one coming down here. Okay, like this. See, now also you have to take note of where are we gonna place our receiver and our VTX. So they're gonna have to be some kind of like stacked on the bottom, on the back. So we have to be very careful not to take so much room here in the back, right here. See, it has cutouts, which is pretty awesome. We could stick a small receiver here, or the VTX, and then we could stick a small receiver up here, or vice versa. So yeah, I think that'll be a good idea. So let's just get started now. What I'm going to do is we're going to start by heating up the pads here. So let me do that real quick and be right back. Alright guys, so the PDB is done here. We put solder on the pads. This 5 volt here is static 5 volt. This will power our flight controller since our flight controller takes 5 volt. This 12 volt I'll be using for the VTX. And here I've bridged the 5 volt for the camera. Now it's okay if you bridge the bottom 3 together as long as none of these are bridged with anyone. So you don't want the top ones to be bridged in any way. So the bottom ones are totally fine. Just imagine it as a wire just going to here. And if you bridge these, yeah, it's very bad, so don't do that. So just double check this here. And so cam will get 5 volt. This I'm going to leave it. This is not getting any kind of voltage because we haven't specified yet here. I might set this to VCC. VCC means the direct power coming from the battery. So if it's 17 volts, this will be 17 volts if VCC is set. I'm going to keep it this way just in case I needed to add a capacitor. And then I would just put it here and try to, instead of having to put it off the side or something or figure something out. So yeah, so here we're done with the PDB. Now let's stick it on the frame and see how we're going to route everything. Alright guys, here we put a little silicone wire for the 5 volt positive and negative, which is going to go to the flight controller. And what we're going to do is we could run power to the flight controller from any of these pins. So I'd prefer to take the farthest, so you got motor 1, 2, 3, 4 to 8 here. I like to do it between on 7 and 8, so you could put one ground at 7 and then the positive at 8, and it's totally fine. Everything will get powered just fine. So we're gonna keep this for last right now because we want to start with soldering in the ESCs because that's a bit more important right now. The ESCs, and then we'll solder in the signal for the ESCs. So let me get the ESCs. We'll start with the first two, put them right here, and then we'll take it from there. Before I always start with the ESCs, I want to show you what I do. Since we're gonna solder the motors on these pads right here, and it's covered by this heat shrink, what I like to do is I come from the side here, and I just cut one line like this, and then I go here, and I do the same thing, and then I would open it, and then basically just have it bent back like this. And you can solder and everything, and then when you're done you can just close it, and then when this way you're only going to need just one heat shrink right here at the end, and when you shrink it everything is totally clean, totally fine. So yeah, this is good. You don't have to cut this off. You could cut this off too if it's bothering you. Sometimes I do. I cut this little piece off right here, but this way I have the whole thing still covered and protected, so which is very good. So you could cut the top. Top doesn't matter. It's just the bottom that's important, so it doesn't touch the carbon, since we know carbon fiber is conductive. So yeah. So let me put these on the frame now, and then we take it to the next step. All right, guys. So I put the ESCs. I actually cut the top part of the heat shrink off where it bent over, just to make my life a little bit easier. Now, what I love about this PDB is that it's perfect, because here we have the positive coming in first and it gives you positive pad, and then you have the negative coming in second, it gives you negative, and same thing on this side, you have the negative coming in first and it gives you the negative and positive, so which is very awesome. So now we're gonna cut them to length. I'm actually gonna do it, since this is the PDB, so I'm gonna do it exactly where it's coming in, so it's gonna be like this. So we're going to cut them right here. So let me cut them up, solder them up, and we move to the next step, guys. Alright guys, we got our first two ESCs in place, and it's looking very beautiful already. So let's move on to the next ones, which is going to be a bit tricky, since we're going to be coming in from the bottom now. So I mean the top, so that's just going to be a bit tricky. So yeah, all right, give me a moment to prepare that, and then I'll be right back. All right guys, so this is the top plate now. I've stuck them to the bottom side of the top plate, so it's going to be like this. The motors are going to come from the top, and the wires are going to go to the bottom here and go to these ESCs. So let's take a look at this, and this is going to be very tricky. I actually think we should keep this for last now, because we still have to solder many other things, and if we're not able to lift this, then we're just gonna have problems. So I mean, it's awesome frame, but now I'm just looking at it, it's a very annoying frame also. Maybe a 4-in-1, not even 4-in-1 ESC, you can't do much. So that's okay. Alright, so let's just begin by just putting the wires for the camera and for the VTX, which is a lot better than doing the ESCs now. So let's do that real quick. So now we got our camera wires in, which is good. We have the cam, positive, negative. What's next? Now let's do our VTX wires. And we're going to run the VTX through this 12 volt here. Or, yeah, we're going to run it through here. Alright, so I got the VTX wire. And it comes with audio and another ground here. And we're not going to use these. So I've cut them off. And I've kept the video, which is yellow, black, which is ground, and red, which is the positive power. And I've changed my mind again. I'm actually going to put them back here because it'll look a lot cleaner also, just to come up from here. So we're going to bridge the 12 volt here, and we're going to set up the VTX right here. We'll put the yellow right there, the red on the positive, and on the ground we put the black. So let me strip the wires and then we can do that. Alright, we've soldered them on. I soldered them this way because the VTX is going to be in the back and this is the back. So it's kind of, sometimes I get confused and the orientation kind of throws me off. So here's the camera and here's the VTX. And let me just show you, I don't want to bend this too hard. Well anyways, here's ground, which is black, positive, which is red, and then the VTX, which is the yellow. So yeah, now let's see what's our next step. So next step is going to be us soldering in the flight controller. Now I'm going to solder the ground on 8 and the positive on 7. So let me do that real quick. Alright, so they're in. The wire slipped when it was in 7, so I just let it go and I just stuck it into 8. So we're totally fine here. So I just put power to 8 and the negative to 8. So we should be good here. Let's see what's our next step. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to do the signals. And when we set this, when I set this up, I'm going to have a yaw offset here of 180 degrees, so or negative 90, just so we could also access the USB a lot easier here. So let me see, and let me figure out what is our next step, because it's starting to get a bit tricky now. Okay, so I think the smart thing to do now is let's just get rid of the first two ESCs. So we're going to solder in the signal and the ground now. So this is the front. So we have motor 1, this is going to be 2, and then 3, and then this is 4. So we're going to solder in 2 and 4. 2 and 4 go in now. Alright guys, as you can see now we got motors 2 and 4 soldered in, and their grounds as well from the bottom up. Now I do recommend you put a little solder before you stick them through, because you could have hairs sticking out everywhere and that could make a lot of problems. And it could even possibly burn out your flight controller. So now let's begin with the upper plate. So let's just get a better view here. All right. So now this is it's a bit complicated here, because now we have the flight controller in the way. I mean, it's yeah. So I think we should keep enough slack to be able to at least lift the body up like this. So I mean, that can give us something, some room to work with, really, some space actually. So I think what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to start soldering this in here, and then if I bend it over, the wire should be fine. So I want to keep something, let's move this here, see what happens, like this. Or at least like this, yeah, like this. So I think that's what I'm going to do actually. I'm going to lay it back exactly, just make sure I got the, yeah, I got the orientation right. So I'm going to do it in a way where I have enough room to, enough slack to actually do this little maneuver here if I ever needed to fix something, because it's you're gonna have to fix something. This is gonna be a huge problem for you. So I think the best solution right now is to do it like this. So just lay it in front of it, and just make sure you got the orientation right when you flip it back over. And that's the way I'm gonna go with it right now, actually. So let me solder that in place, both of them, and we can see what we're gonna do from there. Alright guys, so it seemed to be the best solution now. So what we do is we're just gonna end up just flipping it over, and then we can just put it back. If we ever need to work on it, we just flip it right over. Now, I don't know if long ESC wires are gonna affect the ESCs, but it's okay. If we notice some kind of weird stuff, we could add capacitors to each ESC. Alright, so now we're gonna do the signal in ground, and then we're gonna do the battery, and then just put the camera in and find somewhere for the VTX and the receiver. I don't have any receivers right now, so that's gonna be here on Monday, so we're not gonna be able to do anything with the receiver. We're just gonna build it, and then I mean, this receiver is pretty obvious. Maybe some of you are using FR-Sky, which you would do here to the UART. It's one of them. Some of you PPM. It's not like me. Sometimes I like to use PPM, which is one of these. I forgot which one. And that will complete basically the video in a bit. So let me solder these guys in. We put it all together and see how it's going to go together. Alright guys, so everything worked out as planned. I added the battery strap, I put on the nylon nuts here, and I just ran the VTX. I connected the camera, make sure everything's working before we actually started putting this all in together. So good thing I left the camera wire a bit long and the VTX wire a bit long. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set the VTX, it's gonna be on the bottom since we have these little nice cutouts here. We could use a zip tie to hold it. So I'm gonna set that there, and for the receiver I'm gonna set it somewhere up here, or on top of this. We have a lot of room in here, so we're left with we could add another stack if we had to. So let me secure the VTX here and close it up, connect the battery, and just take a look at it and see how it all goes down. So yeah, be right back guys. Alright guys, so we're basically done with the inside 100%. I've tested and everything is working fine, and right as I'm closing it, we forgot the most important thing, the motors. So I'm gonna put these on now. We're gonna put the motors up top here, and then we're gonna run it to the bottom, and that should be it. Then we take another look and make sure we didn't forget anything. But let me just quickly show you. Look, we have room for the battery strap here, which is awesome. And we still have a lot of room here, so you could add a little receiver, or you could put the receiver up here. I decided to stick the VTX down here, use double-sided tape to hold around the edges, and maybe we could make use of these holes on the VTX and stick them through here. So, you gotta cut this little guy out. Forgot about him. There we go. So, now, what we have to do is put the motors on. Let me put them on, and we'll be right back. Alright guys, so I soldered on the motors and I set up the motors here, and what I did is I just wrapped it around to connect to the bottom side for these, and the overall outcome is it's very beautiful. I did not expect it to be this clean, kind of. I thought it would be a lot more messy, but it just came out just fine, really. Look, we even have space down there. We have some room down here, we have some room up here, so it's pretty awesome. And if you move the wires around up here, you could also put something up there if you needed to. The overall look, the overall feel, it's awesome. Especially these filed down sides how it comes. It's just, I don't know, it just feels very good, and it's very thick too, like very good. These aren't tightened down, but oh no, I don't have screws down here. Sorry. Yeah, I just put 2 screws, but I'm really loving it. It looks pretty awesome. I really hope it flies good. I think it's gonna have good flight characteristics. I believe so, after maybe a little bit of tuning. Hopefully it won't need any tuning, but I highly doubt it. I think it'll need some kind of tuning. So we have a reliable SPF3, a regular PDB, and these motors, I hope they're gonna serve us well. I hope they'll survive more than 3 crashes before bearing gets blown up in there. So yeah, let's wait real quick. So let's zero out the scale. Alright. Okay, it's on 0. Now, let's just see. It's 295 grams. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's not bad. I mean, it's not a racing drone. We're just gonna be freestyling, just playing with it, really, just enjoying it. I think it's gonna fly good with these motors. I think it'll be just fine. I believe it's gonna fly beautifully, to be honest. It's True X, and it's just very thick and it's very durable. Alright guys, so that's gonna conclude it for this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and this new technique or this new way of recording, I hope it really works out. Or if you guys don't like it, just let me know. If you guys like it this way, then I'll keep doing it this way. And I really do hope I helped someone out there, and that's going to conclude it, guys. So I'm going to leave you with the showcasing of the footage, so please don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you have any suggestions or comments, just please let me know. And that's it, guys. So see ya. Happy flying. Take care.